Aydodu and welcome to Tell Me. I'm a presenter on TRT World and currently in self-isolation due to an illness that I have that puts me in the extreme vulnerable category because of the coronavirus. Now, it's been about 5 months and it's an ongoing journey, but I'm still presenting from home and I want to hear from you on Tell Me because you are not alone. This program is solely dedicated to you, to whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't have to dominate the headlines. It may be the headlines. So let's talk, disagree, and have a little laugh. Now, this week we're talking about young people and their future ahead, post and during COVID-19. Millions of young people around the world already feel the impact of the coronavirus crisis. Now, youth unemployment faces a worrying rise around the world. And while many are in the primes of their careers, face the economic and social impact of the unprecedented future. Now, also, millions of young people face anxiety, not having set the exams of further education, and as universities are announcing they will be going to online education for the next semester or the year to come. Well, now to talk further on this, joining me on the programme today, Turnbull, 18, anxiously waiting for exam results to go to her dream university, but also, like millions of others, wondering how the experience will be like. We'll be talking to her, and also it might look like a stolen future for this generation, but we have a careers advisor, Soma, Ghosh, who will be talking about the opportunities for the young people ahead. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us on Tell Me today. Now, starting off with you, Jenny, there, but let's first hear from Miriam, who's a young student from Manchester.
This is Miriam from the UK. I'm an 18-year-old student hoping to start university this September. Now, if we look at education and the impact that it's had on students, I think it's massive. So, for example, I've always been told that university is a time for you to grow as a person, make friends, join societies. Now, how am I going to be able to be a part of these really important experiences when some universities have already announced that the first semester, potentially the first year, may be online? Now, this situation isn't appealing to me, being a student who likes to be present within the classroom. So these adjustments have definitely made me reconsider my future. You know, do I take a gap year or maybe do an apprenticeship? And even post-university, what is my career going to look like in a post-COVID world? And on top of all of this, I'm anxiously awaiting my A-level results, exams which I didn't actually sit, but we're going to have to see if I get the results I need and want to get into my desired university.
I believe, Jenny, you can relate to Miriam there. So what are your concerns? Tell us.
Yeah, definitely. So at the moment, I am hoping to go to Warwick University starting in September, and that's still my plan at the moment. I suppose for me, the biggest fear is obviously we're not in control of our grades, what grades we're going to get. And so for me, I'm going to have to factor in whether or not I'm going to have to take a gap year and apply next year instead. And this is because of, again, uncertainty of grades, if I need to appeal, which will be a very scary process, and also the uncertainty of uni life. A lot of people are saying it would be better to defer and have the better experience next year.
But even if it was online and you got the grades you wanted, you still want to go to university, I think. That's what I'm getting from you.
Yeah, so I think online learning is going to be a very different way to educate ourselves. I think it's going to be a shame because obviously we won't be able to interact with students like we normally would if we were going to lecture halls. But I think that there's no guarantee that anything's going to change necessarily next year. So I think for me, online learning is going to just have to be something that we put up with and get through. And hopefully by term 2, things should be hopefully going back to normal.
Well, let's bring in our careers advisor here, Soma Ghosh. So Soma, we have a video here from Usman, who is from Ghana.
Hello, I'm Uthman Ibrahim Khayullah from Ghana. I am a journalist. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected me in 2 ways. First, as a young journalist, I had plans to travel across the country this year to carry some interviews. Due to the lockdown and feeling of unsafety, I had to drop the plan. Secondly, I am also pursuing my HND in communication. I had plans to complete in 2023. Due to the academic year being paused, it means automatically I will be completing in 2024, and I have already planned. So it affected me also in this way. Thirdly, as a social person and an event organizer myself, I had plans to organize a few series of social activities, but due to COVID-19, I'm unable to. it has really affected me. Thank you.
Now, this is very unprecedented times for this generation, and looking at this uncertain future and economic and social impacts of it, and trying to make these decisions and putting all the fear and anxiety aside, Soma, where do they start?
So there are lots of doors available, and I think it's how you pursue the next angle. So although it seems uncertain right now, there is a lot of support out there, and it's about asking for the right support in the right way and talking to careers advisors, talking to the National Career Service in the UK if you're based in the UK, or reaching out to careers advisors like myself and actually getting solid plans in place, because it's all kind of uncertain for all of us, and we all have to work together to come up with the best solution for each individual young person out there.
So what tips would you be advising right now, but thinking more on a global level, especially for, as everything is so overwhelming for them, as Jenny has mentioned, Miriam has mentioned that, Usman has mentioned.
Yeah.
So looking at that, just tips of not knowing where to start. So thinking, should I study online really right now while waiting for my exam results, or gap year, does it really serve its purpose as you want me maybe able to travel as you wanted to? So how should they go about it? What are your tips?
So one of the main tips I would say for anybody who is going to university right now, you have to assert yourself within the university administrative team. You need to ask the university, what support am I going to get to make sure that I can do these modules that I'm going to study at university? That's the first thing I'm going to say. The second thing I'm going to say is that for those people who pursue a lot of degrees like law and other degrees like history, they can sometimes be dropout rates, and there may be higher dropout rates due to the independent mode of study. So based around that, I would say that a lot of people are going to have to really decide, okay, is university an option for me, or is getting a job an option for me? And there is lots of support with the government right now. I think on a global scale, if we look at it, if you're going to then go down the route where you're going to get a job, you have to market yourself on LinkedIn, be present on there, network, and be open to opportunities. And I've actually found a lot of people who've been doing that already, who have already graduated and are looking to get job opportunities. So there's lots of things that you can do. But what I would say is that it is dependent on your situation as well financially, because some people live on their own, they don't live with their family. So in that way, they may actually have to get a job to financially support themselves. And that means putting themselves on the job market whilst also studying, and then adapting to this digital way of learning, but getting support from their individual university and the government so that they, have that cohesive support in place is what I would advise at this time.
And now we're joined with Yilmaz Bek, who's 21, and he turned his back to university, instead got a job, and we will ask him why. So Yilmaz, let's first watch the video of Harun and take it from there.
Hello Ayca, this is Harun. What I wanted to share was, as a freelancer based in London, I had to postpone all of my projects, all of my plans, but more importantly, as a youngster, I had to postpone the things I wanted to do in this age in my life, and I don't know how long it's gonna take. This is the thing, actually, this is the problem. Uncertainty was the last thing we ever wanted in our lives, and this is what's happening right now. This is all we have. I can't even plan a trip to see my family, and simply I can't foresee my future, what's gonna happen and what is waiting for us. And I know there are millions of people just like me, and we just want to know what's going to happen.
So Yilmaz, for many young people, it's different uncertainties, but you turned your back on university while you were studying media, and you had the dream of becoming a director or a producer. So why did you give up on that dream?
I didn't want to follow it because just the uni kind of path just didn't look right to me. It was just the payment, and especially what we spoke about, the payment, and it's just the debt in general, because then I have to be, for the most of my adult life to start, I'm going to have to be paying for so long, for so many years, and that just didn't interest me at all.
So you took a gap year, and instead you were going to decide this year whether to carry on with your further education. Is it because of the coronavirus that made it change your mind looking at the future ahead?
I changed my mind because it was mostly the financial part, because I was not looking forward to paying all that money just to have some person talking to me in a little room and not really helping or being helpful. Because I have a couple of friends that are in uni or even just finished uni, and they just said it was pointless. It was more better to go to college or sixth form because they give you more detail, and I just didn't think it was for me. Because with me personally, when I learn, I have to be more interactive with the teacher so I understand and I can learn. But in that sense, I wouldn't just want to sit there and just be writing something down. I just want to fall asleep.
Let's bring back Jenny in here back. And Jenny, we have a video from Enda in Istanbul. Let's hear what she's got to say and take it from there.
Hi, my name is Enda. I'm 19 years old and I'm from Turkey. This year I'm supposed to go to university to Austria. To go to Austria, we had to take an exam in our high school. The exam was supposed to take place in April, but due to coronavirus, it took place in June. But we didn't know if it was gonna take part, so it was very stressful for us. That time zone felt like it was never gonna end, and you didn't want to study because you didn't know if it was gonna take place or not. We had really low motivation and it was really hard for us. But it's over. Now we have another problem. As a student who is going to study abroad, I must go to Austria. To go to Austria, I have to take a COVID test. But our university hasn't announced yet if it's going to be online or not. So here pops up a question for me. Am I going to live there by myself even though the studies are going to be online? Because it will be really hard for me, and university is a very different atmosphere from other than high school. So I want to experience it, but if I'm not going to be able to do that, do I really want to go? I don't really know. Stay safe. Bye.
Now, Jenny, Enda is an international student, but worries are still the same, and the experience of travelling, the experience of uni, and maybe also looking at actually work experience and gap years. You said yourself that if you don't get the grade, hopefully you will, for your dream university, you might take a gap year. Now, for yourself and also for your friends, is there uncertainty about this? Because what are you planning to do in your gap year, as travelling might be not as much as in the option as it would have been last year, and are your friends also postponing their decisions or changing their minds?
If I don't get the grades, then a lot of my gap year will be focusing on revising and then resitting exams later on this year, which will be, again, very scary. I think it's a daunting process because you don't have as much time to go over, obviously, the content and then sit the exam. So that will be quite a large chunk of the gap year, trying to get all of that done. And then for me, I think it's going to be a case of getting a job and maybe doing some travelling. But as you say, it's very uncertain whether we'll actually be able to do some travelling, whether rates will be low enough for us to go.
And Soma, though, thinking globally, and as I said, as a little bit outside the box, now looking at employment right now, as many people are working from home and many things have turned digital, how is using Zoom and other apps, and some jobs are getting more attention than others. So taking that into account for the future, which skills do you think they should focus on right now if they are taking that gap year and they can?
I think one of the key things that maybe they need to work on perhaps are things like communication skills, how to build relationships with people, those kind of skills, I would say. I would say also that with technology and with the fact that we're living in a technological time, it's important that you have necessary training and skills so that if, suppose, people are going to be studying online for a year, what are the necessary video tools and things like that they can have. For example, on LinkedIn, they have hundreds of free courses that you can access so you can learn how to communicate better, you can learn how to present better. And if you want to utilize your time, you can do that. If we're talking about globally, those courses are available globally. For people who are really, really trying to rack their brains and struggling right now and need some motivation, I would say reach out, build relationships with people. I always, on my LinkedIn, I'm very active on there, I'm always open to helping people. And one of the reasons why I'm mentioning LinkedIn quite a lot is because it's a very, very helpful platform. People will help you on there. So it's also about, even though it might be nerve-wracking for a young person to go on there, it's about asserting yourself and trying to think, actually, I can get help, but I need to ask for the help and ask for the support and be positive and open to the opportunities that are available to me, is also what I would say around this as well.
Let's watch what Eri has got to say from London and take it from there.
Hi, good afternoon everybody. My name is Aydogdu and I'm a practicing solicitor based in London, and I want to briefly comment on my views on the global pandemic and its impacts on young professionals' work and study lives. I can say from a personal experience that it's had a huge impact on work life and the fact that office life in itself has actually been affected so gravely, to the point where many of our mentors and supervisors aren't around, means that we don't have the mentorship that we would otherwise have, being at the early stages of one's career. And that, of course, is hugely detrimental by way of a learning curve. It has a negative impact. Second of which, from a studying viewpoint, I know from my peers that many courses have actually been deferred onto the next academic year, and as a result, this has also caused many young professionals to reconsider the career options and how they can further themselves. So in short, I believe that the global pandemic has had a huge impact negatively on young professionals in both their work life and their study lives. Thanks, guys.
Well, let's watch Gemma's video there and take it from there with Soma.
Hola, mi nombre es Gemma, soy abogada española. En mi opinión, la situación en España es inadmisible, no hay empleos y las medidas que se están tomando no mejoran ni la economía ni la creación de empleo. Actualmente estoy viviendo en Irlanda, pero me gustaría regresar a mi país, pero es que España es el país con la mayor caída del PIB en Europa. Así que veo un futuro muy incierto y siento que tendré que continuar viviendo en Irlanda durante un largo periodo de tiempo. Gracias.
Soma, we watched Ari's video from London, also Hema, and both of them are solicitors, one from Spain and one in London, and both are actually mentioning for young professionals at the moment there are a couple of difficulties. One, Adi said about mentorship. I'm not getting the skills I'm supposed to get right now because of lockdown happening, because of people not going back to work. And Hema is emphasizing on the fact she's from Spain and unemployment is on the rise and she wants to go back. And I had a chat with her before. She's learning English in Ireland, so she would have liked to take those skills back to Spain, but it looks like she can't. So what is your advice for young professionals ahead, especially when it comes to that mentorship needed?
With the two examples, the two videos, you know, you've got someone who's in a position where they're a little bit, I wouldn't say stuck, but they're thinking, okay, do I stay here? I can't go back because I don't know what the economic situation is there. I'm lacking mentorship because I'm having to work online or I'm having to work in different ways. So I think one of the main pieces of advice that I would say is that there are a lot of free mentorship programs out there. I think there's Find Me a Mentor as well. You can find mentors in that way. There is also, in terms of finding a mentor, you have to find a mentor that fits you. And when you're in a mentor and mentee relationship, it is about you trying to find out what's best for you.
Soma, as we said, unemployment is on the rise, and that's what also Hema is mentioning, who is finding it difficult to return to a country as a solicitor with the skills that she's learning English in Ireland and to bring it back there. So looking at the future ahead for young people, when we think about unemployment and the competitive market in whatever job you're looking for, so what are they facing really? You know, what does the future look like for them?
So there are possibilities, and I am very open-minded and positive as a person anyway, but even if unemployment is happening, there are people still getting jobs, and the future is still possible for a lot of young people. But it's about trying to think about how you can adapt your skills and adapt yourself to the job market as it changes, because we've survived recessions before and we're going to survive this. And it's also about having a very positive mindset and seeking out the jobs and the careers that you want to do.
So most importantly, let's stay positive. That's what we're saying to the young people. So let's watch the video from Sergio from Colombia.
Hi, my name is Sergio. I'm 24 years old and I'm studying economics. I'm from Colombia and I'm on my last semester and I'm on my internship. So yeah, Corona has thrown a curveball at me because my internship has been done mostly on housework. So it's been hard because you don't learn every dynamic of the workplace, but it's been an opportunity to learn, to do something different. And yeah, unemployment has risen steadily, but our chances have been harder to get. But yeah, if I can get a job in the next year, so I'll have to keep studying, do a master's degree or something like that. So yeah, it's been hard, it's been different, but it's been an opportunity to reevaluate and redo some things we want to do. So yeah, that's me. I hope you're well. Bye bye. Ciao from Colombia.
So, Jenny, I think you can relate to that. You want to exactly study the same topic, and I believe you already have an idea of you had of your future plans. Are you changing them right now? What are you thinking about your career path, taking into account what's happening right now, and from what Soma has been saying?
Yeah, well, I would say at the moment, I'm just going to try and, I'm quite new to economics. I didn't take it as an A-level, so I'm trying to keep my doors as open as possible at the moment. I'm just going to keep continuing with what I'm doing. I know that there's a lot of support at the university, and the first steps that we have in terms of careers are things like internships, spring weeks. So I think for me, it's just going to be a case of trying to get onto them. They may be online, which would be a bit of a shame, but just getting the experience first before really thinking about a specific career as such.
And one last one, Soma, to you. So I think it's important to mention that the fear and anxiety young generation is facing right now. Are you giving advice to parents on how to support their children?
So my business, I work predominantly with young professionals, but in the last 6 months I have been giving a lot of support to some parents actually. Parents who are unsure about how the careers advice system works within schools, because I used to work as a schools careers advisor. I also give very individual support around university choices and career. So it's very interesting you mentioning economics, because economics is an industry that is thriving in terms of careers, and I also look at labour markets as well, and I try and give advice around that. But yes, I do, and I think if you're going to study something and you do further education as a personal choice, like a master's, like that gentleman mentioned in the clip, or a postgraduate course, there have been studies that show that people get, higher level, higher quality jobs, and that is true.
What are you telling parents right now in support for their children?
Yeah. So in terms of support for the children, I'm saying to them that it's important that they adapt their child, because not every child is going to want to go to university. Some children are going to want to get a job or start an apprenticeship. And it's not to say that one option is better than the other. It's about making sure that the needs are met for the child. And it's individual advice, because each child is individual. One child might want to study economics and do lots of different things, but another child might actually want to have a career in plumbing or something more vocational based. So it's bespoke to each parent is kind of the different advice. But in general, I'm telling them that there is a lot of support and there are ways of moving forward, is what I'm saying to a lot of parents.
So it's important to realise young people's potentials and put them in the right path. But we know from this, let's stay positive. So thank you very much, both of you, Jenny Turnbull and Soma Ghosh, for joining us today on Tell Me. Now, next week, we want to hear from women around the world, because gender violence and domestic abuse is on the rise around the world, as the UN has called it the shadow pandemic. So let's talk and debate. So we want to hear from you why we are going backwards and how we can help each other, and you are not alone. So tell us more on this. You can write to my Insta, Chacha I, and that's it from us on Tell Me today. So stay safe and sane.